And Glenn, I know we've kind of been fool me once, fool me twice. We keep thinking Congress is actually going to act, but this time it does feel a little different. It does sound like they are serious, like all parties are engaged, everyone's talking, and they say they're not leaving town until they get something done. You buy that?
I think so, but because, Becky, let's take a step back and look at where we are. There's a lot of very, very good news about the vaccine. You guys have done some great reporting upon its rollout and how many we have and who gets it and whatnot. But overall, some very, very good news for the future. But if you look at the state where we are today, the pandemic is at the worst it's ever been. The labor market is very weak. And the forecast for the U.S. and global economy for the year, according to the OECD, is very poor. We've been through all the numbers, but 300,000 people have died. Newly reported cases are up. Hospital beds are at peak usage, as are ICUs. 7-day average of deaths is going up. The pace at which people are dying has increased. It took us 4 months to get from 100,000 to 200,000, and only 2.5 months to reach 300,000 deaths. And according to the University of Washington, the number of people could double and reach 539,000 by April 1st. The rate could double. Job growth is very poor. The number of jobs created has been going down. We've only replaced about 12 of the 22 million jobs we've lost. 35% of the people unemployed are permanent job losses. Long-term unemployed numbers are way up, and unemployment is only up a little bit down a little bit, because people have dropped out of the labor force. The OECD thinks global GDP is going to shrink by 4.2%, with U.S. down 3.7% this year. It emphasizes two things. One, the consequences of long-term scarring as a result of distressed debt, business failure, and consumer to negative net worth, and emphasizes the need for good economic policy, which means not withdraw prematurely the monetary fiscal support. So that's the backdrop of where we are today. We have a very optimistic forecast for the future. I think Rick Rieder hit it right on the head. He's a very smart guy, I think. I've listened to him very carefully. But he emphasizes stimulus today because of the situation where we are today. So it's really, really important to get this done. I think that's finally dawned on policymakers, and they're getting to it.
You know, Rick Rieder said that the markets could continue to run from here because of not just what he thinks is going to happen with the economy from here, but just the idea that maybe people are underestimating the amount of aid and stimulus and what that's going to mean. I mean, when you're looking at already more than 10% of U.S. GDP being spent and another 5 to 10% on the way, he thinks people are underestimating just what that will mean in terms of the dynamism for the economy. You agree with that?
Well, largely. I think we need to make a distinction between, which she did, I think, effectively, between the effect of economic policy on the markets and the people whose livelihood and net worth is denominated in market activity, and the people who work in the kind of jobs and industries that have been hit by the pandemic. And so, yes, the market prognosis is kind of very good. Not only because of the things which she highlighted, but also the notion that we're going to have long-term low interest rates, which means alternatives to market activity, alternative to stocks are going to be very poor. Jamie Dimon said he wouldn't buy U.S. Treasuries, but if I was a seller of Treasuries, I would sell them. Right? So they're going to be low for look like they're going to be low for a very long time period, which is good for stocks. And the technology part of the stock market, I think, will continue to boom. But we still have very, very large parts of the economy that are underperforming significantly, as he suggested, in the areas where job growth was created in the last several years, services. And in particular right now, in addition to the impact of the virus on, which I've emphasized to you over many months now, disadvantaged communities of color, we also have women being disproportionately affected as a consequence of issues associated with education and childcare for their children. So there are very important parts of the economy that still need to be supported, and his baseline forecast included support. Now, we can get into it in a minute, but I think that this package right now that's going to come out in this Congress will be good. It'll be insufficient. And I think you'll see a Biden administration come forward with something much bigger after the inauguration.
Hey, Glenn, let's talk about the Fed. We've got that two-day meeting wrapping up today, and there are basically two camps. Either they're going to come out, people think, and be dovish, or other people think they're going to be very dovish. Which camp are you in?
I think that's a distinction without a difference, Becky. I think the baseline expectation the markets have, which is lower for longest right now, is about the right way to think about it. Jay Powell made it pretty clear the Fed is not going to prematurely withdraw any of the stimulus that's put into the economy, and I think that's what we should expect.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.